Well, hey there everybody, it's Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike and I do bees. It's September 9th. Welcome to Southeast Louisiana. Well folks, I am out and about watching the weather right now. We got a hurricane in the Gulf. Not sure if that track will move any further eastward, but it's been pretty steady, so it's not a terrible thing, but it's going to generate tropical force winds here and rain, a lot of rain. Don't mind the rain, hate the winds, but it is what it is. So I had a few things I got to get done, but not really hurricane prep, because hurricane prep is stands that I might have, maybe tie those down. I've done that in the past where I've tied down just a tippy kind of stand that was, real wobbly or tall. Other than that, I leave the rest alone because I keep them pretty low to the ground. Not on pallets, but pretty low. So here's where the hurricane prep comes in. This is the best prep I've found after being with my bees now. I've had 3 hurricanes, one really bad one, which I videoed the results of that one. But for me, as far as doing the bees, remember, this is how I do, not a how-to. Not telling you how to do this thing. I don't say how to do. I say how I do. And my plan actually this week was I got 4 singles that need to be fed. I need to be probiotics on everybody. We're at that point in the month, anywhere from the first week to middle of the month. I want to go in every time and put some probiotics on. And I really kind of want to do a few random mite checks, mite washes, see where we're at standing on the mites after we've treated everybody. But with the storm coming, I'm thinking, what I'm going to do is just get all the probiotics on them. I'm going to hold off feeding because 3 of them out of the 4 I'm using bucket feeders and I don't want them to blow off. But then I thought, what are you thinking, Mike? Don't go putting probiotics on everything. That can wait another week. My chest can wait. They're either there or they're not at this point. I treated, so let's hope they're not too heavy at all. But don't bust the propolis loose on all the hives. That'd be the dumbest thing I could have done. So, because I got to thinking, all the hurricanes is usually in August, and I don't open my colonies here in August most of the time. So, that's what really I think got them through Ida, was the amount of propolis keeping those covers glued down, because not one cover blew off. So why would I go through and open every single cover? That wouldn't be smart. So I'm not going to do that. I thought, shoot, go ahead and put the 3 buckets on and put giant paving stones on top of them. I have really big, giant, heavy paving stones. So that's what I'm going to do rather than do probiotics and mite counts. So we see a lot of videos right now about winter prep, and honestly, prepping, here's my opinion. I figure this. 3 items that are winter prep. 3 items. 3 of the most important things. First and foremost, where's your mites? However, if it's treatment, non-treatment, mechanical interventions, genetics, however a person treats, does whatever, however it is, mites, to me, in my opinion, are the #1 thing that have to be winter prep, having them under control. Whether it be the genetics that can repel them, pull them out, do whatever they can, whether it's the treatments that we do, whether it's mechanical, IPM type stuff, I don't know. I mean, IPM can cover treatment too, but anyway, you know what I'm saying. Whatever it may be, mites are the most important thing, I think, to start with for winter prep, for me, and then turn around and good queens. That's the next thing. Why are mites before queens? Because if mites are getting the bee sick, who cares what the queen does? They're going to die because they're going to be sick. So we want a good queen. After that, stores. You say, why is the queen before stores? Because we need to have a good, healthy hive from the mites being under control to where the queen can actually make winter bees and healthy and keep a hive going steadily. And stores, because we got to keep them fed, one without the other. But in that order, I really believe, throughout any region you're in, I really think those 3 things guarantee your winter prep, because you have to have the first 2 and then make sure they have the stores to carry all that healthiness right on through. With mites in there, queen gets sick. With a sick queen, we have no colony. Have a healthy queen, we have no food, we still have a bad colony. So there you go. That's winter prep in a nutshell for me. That's how I feel. That's how I do. That's the best I can tell you. Oh well, anyway, so I'm gonna feed my bees. At this point, we're just gonna see where the video leads us. As far as, gotta wait for this storm, see what happens. It's not due for another 1.5 days, so I'm gonna get the feed on them now. And hopefully maybe they can empty these buckets out pretty quick. See, this Hive Alive has some supplement in it, and it has wintergreen in it, which I want that in there, but the problem is it's robbing season, and I really want to prevent them from being robbed. So I'll throw this on there real quick. We're going to dump some feed in it, and we'll go from there. The key is, with these hive tops, everything internal at this point. It's really, buckets aren't really internal because they can leak out on the lid sometimes. This stuff's got wintergreen in it, so I'm taking a chance right now, but they need feed. This is a good time to feed them while the weather's bad, while the bees aren't out and about too much. The rain starts coming down. At least they got something in their colonies to eat on. And I will pop this one lid, but it's a single, it's low to the ground. I'll stack a couple extra bricks on it. Be on the safe side. I got a good windbreak depending which way it comes from for this one too. We should see it coming from over my right shoulder and from behind me when it comes in. So the wind it'll be a good windbreak for it. I think it'll be fine. But I did suit up because the weather's been kind of rough and the bees aren't happy. So put this hive top on and hope it, and I got a entrance reducer, but I hate to reduce their entrance because when you look at them, they probably don't need their entrance reduced. They should be able to guard it. We're gonna go for it. The simple thing would be just to swap lids and throw a bucket on, wouldn't it? But why do things simple? Yeah, the front, I got them off the front. I'm probably gonna put an entrance reducer in them because what I don't want is any robbing to start. And what I decided to do is go ahead and let's just swap the lids. The hive top feeders are good, but in the fall, if there's any gaps, they're easily broken into. I don't know that the buckets are any better at this point because I'm not feeding everybody. That's the key to feeding sometimes, is if you feed everybody, we're not all out there trying to rob everybody. This is actually one of the ones I wanted to do a mic check on. This is a small swarm. I am going to put an entrance reducer in it though. So I want to get everybody off. Oh, they're not too bad. So I want everybody off for now. We're going to put this other lid on, but I'm going to clean the top because what I don't want is any gaps. You can see this was a swarm that I left in the box too late, so the rubber band signified that I had to rubber band a little bit of comb in. Let's throw a little smoke to them. They're really only inhabiting the center combs on this. It wasn't a huge swarm. They look bigger than they are from the front. You know, they're very light. So when they get light like this, they can begin to cannibalize the brood. That cuts down on numbers. So let's get this all cleaned good so we get a good seal. And again, this is why I don't like pulling this off. That's why I decided not to go through every single colony, because it'd be crazy a day and a half before we have high winds to be breaking all this propolis. But this one here, I'll put that big old paving block on it. Plus it's regular brick. Yeah, they're coming out now, but they're not mad. They're not too ornery. That's a good thing. I've already cleaned the top. Let's get these bees off the edges. And I am going to give them that entrance reducer. Oh man, I need to. I don't have my JPB Works ones. All right, well, they're inside. I'm not going to go get them right now. Let's give them a medium setting. Let's get them over there. Just, this stuff has a lot of wintergreen in it. What I don't want is to create robbing. Good enough. There we go. All right, so we've reduced their entrance, and we're going to feed them all. So now I just got to pop plugs and throw buckets on. Now, how did I mix my syrup, and what am I serving them this day? What is their entree? It's a 1-to-1. It's a solid 1-to-1. A pint per pound. That's basically slightly a little bit more sugar, so slightly heavier than 1-to-1 at the most. It's definitely not lighter than 1-to-1. So, but about a pint per pound gives you about 1-to-1. So that's what I'm serving them. And here I got a quick video of how I did it. So we have the water, we have the sugar, we have the mixer, we have the Hive Alive supplement, and with that we have one-to-one feed. Yeah, I use a bucket. No, I don't feed that much. When I do feed, it's usually supplemental. In other words, I have 4 singles that need feeding, so we're mixing up just enough feed for them. Give them a gallon apiece, give or take, bulk them up. Keep them going until the goldenrod hits and they can get some feed in there on their own. Push comes to shove, I got a 30-gallon feed bucket outside that I have a valve on that I can take feed and mix feed in, but I just don't feed that much for my operation. And I will definitely go into that during the video that you're watching. Come October, if the hives are just light, needing bulking up, we'll slam them with a 2-to-1. And I might just open feed that with some Hive Alive in that too. Oh boy, folks, look what else I got. I got a solar wax melter from HillCo. Oh, I was eyeballing this thing. I got my hands on one though, and I'm excited. And I'm gonna do something a little different. I'm not gonna use this for, well, I guess it's not different than some people, but it's different for me. I'm not gonna use this for my my wax cappings. I'm gonna use this for burr comb. You know, I collect at least two grocery bags full of burr comb at the beginning of the year and up through middle of spring. And I always throw it in a bucket. Matter of fact, this bucket. So this goes out. So when I go pull shims, I'll be, there's some in there now. I'll be pulling burr comb. And then Jennifer, the sales manager at HillCo, she was there at the booth. I was helping her that weekend. And she mentioned a beekeeper from either North Carolina, South Carolina, somewhere, bought like 3 of them for 3 different bee yards. And he just leaves them in the bee yard and he gets done burr comb, he throws it in there. It's out of the way. I don't have to store it anymore. Or even if I do store it, store a little bit and then throw enough in there to fill the pan. That's my plan. Yeah, I could build one easy. They're easy to build, but I hate building stuff. I do have a link though I'll share with you on a fella in Florida that built one, really nice one. Smaller one, easy to build. That's gonna be nice just have out in the yard, put in the sun. But now, with a hurricane brewing and cloud cover for the next 3 to 4 days, I'm not gonna be able to use it, but I've got a bunch of burr comb I'm gonna throw in there. So I'm gonna use that for a nasty comb, see how it does. Because I got a wax melter down there that I can use for all my wax cappings. Because I got drums of wax capping, drums and buckets of wax capping, totes full of it. So I like to be able to do a whole bunch at one time. But I'm excited about that. I can't wait to use it. Be a video on that for sure. And this, folks, is exactly why I enjoy my bucket feeders. Just easy to fill and carry. Internal feeders, I don't know if they're good for right now just because I want them to have stores and they're in singles. So I want them to have as much space as possible to put the stuff. If I turn around and take up 2 frames that they could have used to maybe throw a little nectar to, that's kind of defeating the purpose. So this is how I do. Now, since it's got wintergreen, if it just had regular sugar water, I wouldn't sweat it. Make sure the lid's on good. The lid's in good, the plug is. But I'll just go ahead and dump it right here. Let that vacuum take over. All right, so we got a good vacuum. Normally just do it right by the hive, but let's throw it on here. Oh, didn't pull the plug. That would help. There we go. And we're on. I like them, they're simple. Now I'm gonna come back with this. Since we have a hurricane coming, hopefully they drink this by Wednesday evening. If not, they drink a lot of it. I'm gonna put this on here. I think that's gonna hold it. And there you go. We'll head to the next one. We'll talk about exactly why you don't see Mike feeding that often. Rarely do you see me feeding. So anyway, you don't see me feeding a lot. And I have my reasons. So feeding is a tool. It's used, you know, if I'm a commercial person, if I'm raising lots of bees, or I'm doing, let me go dump this real quick. I'll still speak to you while I'm doing this, but to say I'm I'm a commercial beekeeper. I'm readying up for the almonds. I'm trying to make bees for nukes early on, whatever it is. I'm going to definitely feed and build my bees up. But for me, I don't need huge nests going into winter. I don't mind the nest being a little bit small as I go into the winter. And so in the dearth, I don't mind them tracking a little smaller. It doesn't bother me. They're good. They're fine. Now I don't want them weak. And I'm going to feed in a situation like this where they're light. But I don't need to build my bees during the dearth. And that's really what during the dearth feeding does for you, is it keeps that nest going, keeps that queen moving. I don't need that. I'm good without it. So anytime you ever really see me feed is if I need to draw some wax. Like last year, I didn't have a, was it last year? No, year before. I didn't have a lot of drawn comb, which was a good sign. I didn't have a lot of dead outs that year. And because of that, I needed some comb drawn, so I built them up into my second deep. And that worked great. You know, you could use it for building up a one-to-one, lighter than one-to-one is what a lot of folks say. But in the spring, we have so much nectar. I work full-time. I don't need to build them any faster. And at the rate I peak them out anyway with the natural flow, I'm usually pretty good. I get a small nuke or something that needs feeding. I build some nukes that need feeding. That's a different ballgame. But just feeding normally, you don't see me do it a lot because I'm a small-scale beekeeper. I'm not trying to just get these bees busting at the seams. You know, if I start raising nukes and things like that, you might see a lot more feed. You will see me feed in the fall. I'll go through after the goldenrod and I'll check light hives. If there's any light hives, they'll get 2-to-1. That's my take. I mean, certain places, they got to feed. Northern climate, you guys got to feed. I know that. I understand that. But down here as a hobbyist or a small scale, I don't see the need for them to, even in the dearth. As long as they go into the dearth, coming out of the flow strong, they'll be fine in the dearth. It saves me time and money and effort not to feed. There's my reason. Never, ever have I said it's don't feed, it's bad to feed, anything against feeding. It's just not for my operation, really. To me, it's a tool. So while bees, even on one-to-one, really in September, they're not going to draw a lot of comb. They just don't. This is not the time to get comb drawn. They usually won't draw it this late. They know winter bees are going in. They know the solstice is past, well past. They know the season. But with this shim in there, there is a chance they could put some burr comb in. So when we go back in to check mites maybe, or here and there random checks, or we go in and put probiotics, I'll scrape that and throw it in my wax melter that I got that I'm excited about. Winter prep, mites, queens, stores, we're good. That's it. That's it down here in Southeast Louisiana. I'm gonna go throw another bucket on, same thing I'm doing right now. I'm gonna split the other stuff I have to do up into a separate video and go ahead and call this video complete. Just a little bit of feeding, a little bit of my philosophy on feeding, why I feed, when I feed, and remember how I do. This ain't a how-to video. Everybody has to figure out how they utilize feeding in their operation. Everybody has to utilize when, how, and how much, and all that good stuff. And if there's ever a video series I would ever recommend, Bob Binnie did one about 4 years ago, probably about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. It was a 4-part series. I want to say part 1, and then he had like a big delay, and then part 3, 2, 3, and 4, or vice versa. 1, 2, and 3, and then the last one was a long way. Either way, it was about 5 years ago. He did an excellent 4-part series on feeding, ways to feed, how he does it, the reasons why. But it's a great series. I always recommend that one. With Bob Binnie, you always gain good stuff from him. So, well, there you go, folks. I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. I appreciate all y'all watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and I do bees. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful week. And may God bless you. We'll see y'all later.